ever stop to think about the heartbeat of the Bitcoin network? It's kind of wild. Whether you have a handful of miners or millions of them, a new block gets added almost exactly every 10 minutes. It's like clockwork. But how is that even possible? Well, today we're going to dive into exactly that. So let's kick things off with a central puzzle that Bitcoin's creator had to solve. How do you keep a steady, predictable rhythm in a system that's completely decentralized and, honestly, pretty unpredictable? And here it is, the core question. The total computing power on the network, what we call the hash rate, is always in flux. I mean, it can swing wildly as people join, people leave, or powerful new machines come online. So with no one in charge, no central coordinator, how on earth does this thing keep its incredibly consistent 10-minute beat? And you can see here why this is such a huge problem. It's a real Goldilocks situation. If you have too few miners, the whole network just grinds to a halt. Your transactions get stuck, the system feels broken. But if you have too many miners, blocks get found way too fast, and the whole supply schedule becomes chaotic and unstable. So neither of those scenarios is any good. So what's the secret sauce? What is Bitcoin's elegant answer to this problem? Well, it's a mechanism that's truly at the heart of the entire system. It's called the difficulty adjustment. At its very core, Bitcoin has this built-in, self-correcting setting called difficulty. You can just think of it as the network's way of controlling how hard the cryptographic puzzle is that miners are trying to solve. And the key here is that it's not fixed, it's always changing. A really great way to picture it is as Satoshi's control valve. It works just like a thermostat in your house. If things get too hot, meaning blocks are being found way too quickly, the valve tightens and the difficulty goes up. If things cool down and blocks are too slow, the valve loosens and the difficulty goes down. And the most amazing part? It all happens automatically. And just look at the scale of this thing. It's absolutely staggering. When Bitcoin started back in 2009, the difficulty was literally 1. Anyone could mine on a basic laptop. But today, with these super powerful, specialized ASIC miners, the difficulty is over 135 trillion. It is trillions of times harder to find a block now than it was in the beginning. And that's all because this control valve has been constantly adjusting to the massive increase in mining power. Okay, so that's the what. We get it. But how does this recalibration actually work? It's not random. It happens on a very precise and predictable schedule. The process itself is just brilliantly simple. The network operates in these 2-week cycles, or what's known as a difficulty epoch. That's 2016 blocks. At the end of every one of these cycles, the protocol simply looks back and measures how long it actually took to find those blocks. The target is exactly 20,160 minutes. If the miners were faster than that, bam, the difficulty for the next 2 weeks goes up. If they were slower, it goes down. It's really as simple as that. And this isn't just theory. You can see it happening in real time. Look at these recent adjustments. It's constantly moving, up and down. You see a massive 14.73% increase when a flood of new hash power came online. But then, just 2 weeks later, an 11.16% drop. The system is always breathing, always adapting to keep that 10-minute average right on track. Which, of course, brings us to the next logical question, right? Why 10 minutes? Why not 1 minute to get faster transactions? Or, an hour? Well, there's a very good reason for this specific number. It all comes down to keeping the global network in sync. Think about it. When a miner finds a block, it takes time for that news to travel across the internet to all the other computers on the network. If blocks were found every minute, 2 miners on opposite sides of the world could easily find a block at almost the same time. The network would then have to pick a winner, and the other block would get tossed aside. That's called an orphan block, and it's a huge waste of energy. 10 minutes is the sweet spot. It's long enough to let a new block make its way around the world so everyone stays on the same page. Okay, so we've gotten into the weeds of the mechanics. Now let's pull back and look at the big picture. Why does this one single mechanism matter so much? Well, if you're a miner, this is everything. The difficulty directly hits your bottom line. When difficulty goes down, all your existing hardware suddenly earns a bigger slice of the pie. But when it goes up, the competition gets way tougher and your profits shrink unless you can get more powerful machines. For the network itself, this is the bedrock of Bitcoin's monetary policy. It's what guarantees that new Bitcoin are created on a predictable, unchangeable, and transparent schedule, the one that leads to the hard cap of 21 million coins. It doesn't matter if our computers get 1,000,000 times faster in the future. The issuance rate stays exactly the same. And for the rest of us, this is probably the most profound part of it all. It's a completely autonomous, self-regulating system. There's no committee, no CEO, no central bank deciding when to make an adjustment. No one is pulling the levers. It's just code, doing its thing automatically based on the transparent rules of the network. All right, to wrap things up, I've got two last little tidbits for you about this difficulty adjustment. One is about its relationship with the market, and the other is a really strange quirk that's been there since day one. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Price and difficulty are deeply connected. It makes sense when you think about it. When the price of Bitcoin goes up, mining becomes more profitable. That gives miners an incentive to turn on more machines. More machines means more hash rate, which 2 weeks later leads to a higher difficulty. So you often see difficulty following price. And get this, here's a great piece of trivia for you. Because of a tiny bug in the original code, the difficulty adjustment is actually calculated based on the time it took to find the last 2015 blocks of an epoch, not the full 2016. The very first block of every cycle is just ignored. The impact is so small that to avoid a big, disruptive network update, the bug has just been left there forever. At the end of the day, Bitcoin's difficulty adjustment is so much more than just a technical feature. It's really a powerful lesson in decentralized governance. It's what keeps the network secure, stable, and predictable, all without a central planner. Which leaves us with a final thought, right? What other complex systems in our world could really benefit from a simple, elegant, and automatic self-regulating mechanism just like this one?